In this video, I'm going to show you how unbelievably easy it is to install one of these air springs. In this particular vehicle is a Mercedes W220 chassis. I know these air springs are on American cars, Lincoln Mercury, some of them have them. Other Mercedes have them as far as besides the luxury S-Class. And it's really easy. What makes it easy on the W220 chassis is you do not need any software. You don't need Mercedes-Benz Star System. You don't need any type of special tools or anything. It just comes right out and goes right in. One of the key aspects of this job is to disconnect the battery. Whether your air spring is damaged and you're replacing it, or you're removing it for some other repair and it's kind of in the way and you need to take it out and then put it back in, either way, the first thing you do is disconnect the battery. And it's very important because it will reset the pump and allow the pump to pressurize the lines you've disconnected, because once a line has detected a leak, it will isolate that line, and by disconnecting and reconnecting the battery when you're complete, it allows it to try again. Alright, to remove, you want to disconnect the air line. I'll show you when I reconnect it. And if the air spring is pressurized because you're changing them out in pairs or whatever you're doing, let's say this one's not defective, you take the connector out, you just kind of loosen it up. When you hear the pressure coming out, you just let it evacuate till it's atmospheric and then take it the rest of the way off. Then what I like to do is take these 3 screws out, and then even before you disconnect the top or the air line, or after, it doesn't really matter, you need to unplug it. And this plug comes out. It's a real pain in the butt. I'll show you that in detail when I install it. It has these little tabs on here, but don't get fooled by those. They don't lock into place. The speed sensor connects up to it. Let's see if I have enough reach here. The speed sensor connects up to it and it plugs in together, but they just come apart. They're just held together by friction. So don't think these little tabs here need to be pried up. They don't. The plug just goes together and comes apart that easy. Also, another thing that makes this plug a pain in the butt is there's a clip that goes around here. It's a wire clip, and I really still even haven't figured it out, even though it's all apart, whether you can just push on the top to release it and pull it out. I ended up doing something else, which I'll talk about on the install. So once it's unplugged and the top is free, then you take these set screws out, and that will release the control arm ball joint connection. When you take these 2 screws out, there's one on either side, and once you take those out, which I'll talk about those too, that can be a pain in the ass, then you can push down on the control arm and lift up on the strut, and you can get enough clearance. There's about maybe 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch clearance you can get without loosening anything on the main control arm. However, if you can't push it down far enough, you can always loosen the control arm mounting bolt to get a little bit more freedom if you need it. All right, orientation is always the same on the front. Your solenoid or control valve or whatever you want to call it is always forward, and your air line always connects from the back. So this is looking forward. This will be the front side. This will also orient your mounting screws. Now I have the lower part of the knuckle disconnected from the upper control arm here. Normally that would be connected, and there's actually plenty of room for you to do that. I was making some other repairs, and so I just didn't connect it because I figured I'd give myself as much room as possible. So one person can do this. You just set the strut in place so that one of the studs goes through the holes, and then you do not have to worry about mounting it to the bottom just yet. You can let it hang because you're going to have to push down on the control arm and move the bottom forward in order to get it started on that peg there. So there it is in place up at the top. Here, let me show you how much clearance you'll need. See, not much at all. So we'll just go ahead and secure the top. So now we're going to start all of our flange nuts. And with car repairs, you always start all of your nuts or bolts before you secure any of them. And you take your 10mm wrench and you reconnect the air line. Also, if the strut is under pressure and you're bleeding it off because you're replacing it, let's say you're putting in aftermarket or something, you can just let it bleed out. It won't fly out. It says caution high pressure, but if you just open it up enough to hear it leaking, then you can let it bleed out before you disconnect it. So 10mm open end wrench for the air line, 13mm socket or wrench for the top mounting bolts. That's it, we're done at the top. So here's the plug. I found it very difficult to get in there because of the height adjustment bar and this wire that goes to your level sensor. So you can see the clip in there on this side, and what I did is I just used my pick and just pried it off of this side over here and took it out. I don't know if you can just pull on the plugs enough to overcome that spring to get it off of the ends there. They are. To overcome the friction for those clips to move out of the way and pull this out. I know I really struggled and I didn't want to damage it, so I just took the clip out to make it easier. My little wire guide came out for the height adjustment wire here, so I'll just put that in place. I guess I could have took it out. The way that comes out is you just pull down on it and it'll come out. So if you want to get it out of the way, that's how that works. It has two little L-shaped clips on there. So now you know that little trick. It just goes on there, holds the wire to the level sensor. All right, you have a little wire tie point right here. So we'll be sure and tie off those lines. Wow, we are almost done. Look at that. I can almost put it on there without even moving it. But I'll just push it down a little bit, get it started. You see it's not lined up, but it will. You just kind of jiggle it like that. And then, of course, what I'm going to end up doing is reconnecting the knuckle to the upper control arm so that I can get it set in place. Alright, just for the record, I want to say you definitely want your upper control arm connected to your steering knuckle when you do this. So if you can see the top of my bottle jack, I actually needed to lift up on it. So there's plenty of clearance to and plenty of play to push down on it and get it started. In my situation, I actually needed to push it up some. So I could have loosened the top and let it fall down that way. Just loosen the top, you know, not take the nuts completely out, let it drop. But I decided to jack it up. Now we'll just put both set screws in place. This is a M5 Allen. Just put it in place. Now I need to talk about these guys. Someone had Loctite mine. They used blue Loctite, and I actually took it to the shop. I couldn't get it. I broke off one of these socket Allens and two Allen wrenches, And so I took it to the shop and had the shop remove it. They charged me a half-hour labor. It's about $35. And it was a lot less painful for them to do it than for me to fight that thing. So if these things just don't come right out, which they should, then just take it completely off and take it to the shop. There is a tool, I later found out there is a tool that's better than just a regular Allen that they put in there to extract it with. But I just took it to the shop. It was easier for me just to pay $35 to the shop and have them remove it. Remove all 4 screws. So you just get these things snug down here. It's going to hold itself in place. It's pointed, so the forces are going to keep it from coming out. It's not going to come out. You don't need to Loctite it. If you do feel you need to do something, maybe put some pipe tape on it if you're paranoid about it backing out. I don't see it happening. If you did feel a need to loosen the control arm, be sure and tighten that back up. All right, I have removed the wheel well on an unrelated matter, but I just wanted to point out that you still have access to the plugs and everything if you want to do this job. You do not have to remove the wheel well. The only time you have to remove the wheel well splash guard is when you're dealing with the forward traction arm or forward control arm. That's the only time you need clearance for this bolt to come out. Other than that, the splash guard can stay in there. And now we're getting to the good part. You reconnect the battery, and I'm going to show you that you don't need the Mercedes-Benz Star system. You don't need some aftermarket high dollar shop programmable system. You just need to get the pump going to pressurize the lines, and I'll show you how to do that. And here it is, the raise car button right here. Now I'm going to start it and hit the raise car button, and that'll pressurize the struts, allow you to put the wheels on and set the car down onto your new or your replaced or your repaired air springs.